Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo SportsCenter. I am Don, and today we are going to look at this big wild card game between the number 2 seed Buffalo Bills and the number 7 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, the Steelers, despite starting 3 different quarterbacks this year, have found their way into the playoffs and are going to Buffalo. Before I get to this intriguing matchup, make sure to hit that like button and to subscribe. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram, join the Discord, all of those links are down in the description below. Now, let's discuss a little bit about the Bills' offense and how inconsistent they were on Sunday night against Miami. Yes, they had a good day in the second half, but in the first half, it was more like a really bad day. 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, a goal line rejection on a throw that Josh Allen probably should have thrown away. Lots of points left on the board. That was the Bills' offense in the first half. Allen on the first interception that he threw on the Bills' first drive of the game on offense. He had some miscommunication, it appeared, again with Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, on a little one-on-one with the cornerback Eli Apple, decided to break to the inside instead of sticking to the defender. Josh Allen wanted to throw a basically contested catch ball, but of course Davis had broken to the inside. The only guy left was Eli Apple. And it was really reminiscent of the play that occurred against the Philadelphia Eagles way back 5 weeks ago when the Bills went to 6-6. It was the same play. The Bills couldn't deal with the zero blitz that Miami threw at them. Allen just threw a jump ball up into the air, kind of settled towards the ground, and Gabe Davis was nowhere to be found, looking and going in the wrong direction. That's got to be really frustrating. On the second interception of the game, 4th and 2, Allen scrambling, rolling out to the near sidelines. He didn't have an option, just kind of threw down towards the end zone. And then again, Gabe Davis tripped over himself, couldn't make the contested catch, and the Dolphins picked him off again. And then in the second half, that forced fumble that Josh Allen turned over, Christian Wilkins, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL, deserves to get paid this offseason. He made a huge play, beating out the offensive lineman, stripping and basically just taking the ball away from Josh Allen so cleanly. It's got to feel good for him. But after that, well, before and after, the Bills' offense kind of showed up a little bit. Trent Sherfield made a huge couple of catches for the Bills. Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox each brought their own special little, to the game, and Kincaid I thought was phenomenal. Knox as well, fantastic. But the biggest story for the Bills, when they got right, it was because Allen rediscovered his magic with Stefon Diggs. Diggs had a couple of marquee bell cow catches for the Bills, including one over the head of Eli Apple on the sidelines. I think it was in the fourth quarter? Yeah, third or fourth quarter. And the Bills were able to get going from there. No, it was the first quarter. It was on the Trent Sherfield touchdown drive where he made an insane catch. Now, he could have had another huge 92-yard touchdown reception had Allen not overthrown him, but it was nice to see him get involved quick, early, and downfield for the Bills. The only problem for the Bills was that while Gabe Davis had 2 targets and 2 interceptions against Josh Allen, he did leave that game injured with a knee injury. It is unclear if he'll be able to go for this weekend's game against Pittsburgh, although based on the way everyone else played, including Khalil Shakir, who had 106 yards on the day on 6 catches, fantastic guy by the way. I don't know if Bills fans are really desperate to see Gabe Davis back. They may be just fine without him, especially if the depth pieces can continue to do what they did against Miami. Now let's talk about the Bills' defense, who was absolutely fantastic in the second half after being unsettled in the first. In the second half, the Dolphins had 5 drives, only had 57 yards of total offense. That was it. No points, no 4th down conversions, and an interception on the final drive made by Taylor Rapp. But Christian Benford, tip my cap to him because he was absolutely phenomenal for the Bills. Also got to tip my cap to Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard, Balin Spector. Yes, Balin Spector. After Terrell Dodson left the game injured, he's also questionable for this weekend, by the way. Balin Spector was phenomenal for the Bills. He made the perfect read almost every single time. And one thing about a linebacker is that you don't typically notice them unless they A, get an interception, or B, mess up big time on a run play or a pass play where they don't plug the right hole. Well, Bale Inspector never did that, and that is so shocking for a guy that only had 5 defensive snaps all season prior to that game. When he got his chance, he was phenomenal. Another plug-and-play kind of guy, and for Sean McDermott, it seems like he really knows how to develop these defensive guys, these young defensive backs. And we also got to talk about Greg Rousseau. Greg Rousseau and Dane Jackson. Dane Jackson, he did have a DPI call against him. He did have a holding call, both regarding Tyreek Hill, but I thought he still played really good. And for Greg Rousseau, I thought he was phenomenal, disrupting plays on the defensive line. That's good to see. Ed Oliver as well, really good to see. Of course, Von Miller was nowhere to be found, but that's not too surprising given how he's played this year. And this defense, despite having a rough first half, they really helped me to instill my faith back into them. Their really crystal clear play kind of carried this Bills team to a victory, because had the Dolphins gone up by 2 scores earlier in the third quarter, I don't think there was a chance of them coming back. And before I transition over to talk about the Steelers, I also got to give my props to Deontay Hardy, who made one of the biggest plays of the season for the Bills on his 96-yard punt return for a touchdown. Yes, he's done nothing all year. Yes, he's committed a couple of muffed punts as well, and he almost did against the Dolphins. He bobbled one fair catch. But you know what? He made a big play when he absolutely needed to. He really needed it. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Deontay Hardy had a good game. He's not really one of my more favorite players on the team, but he got a big touchdown and helped really kickstart this Bills team to get a victory on Sunday night. Now let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had a Saturday night game against the Baltimore Ravens as backups, and it was a rainy game. It was not a fun atmosphere to play in, and the Steelers, they looked really uncomfortable, but over the last couple of weeks, this offense has really found a rhythm under quarterback Mason Rudolph, and who would have thought that Josh Allen and the Bills would be hosting a playoff game after going 6-6 in the opening 12 weekends, and that they'd be facing Mason Rudolph in the Pittsburgh Steelers in the wildcard game. I don't think that was on many teams' bingo cards after the bye week back in week 12, but we're here. It's now. It's Mason Rudolph's team, and he's looking to continue his consistent play and hope, not necessarily, he's a little bit better than a game manager right now. He's made some really accurate throws to guys like Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, not first and foremost, but at the absolute pinnacle of what Mason Rudolph does is throw over the middle, finds George Pickens, who in typical Pickens fashion kind of turns a 10-yard gain into a 75-yard touchdown. That's what Pickens does. He's got that big shock play value, and for the Steelers, they really just needed a quarterback, I think. And I know, they don't really have an offensive line either. It's been really poor all season long from that unit. But I really liked how the Steelers, despite not having the biggest and bestest of competition, they found ways to win. And against teams like the Seattle Seahawks and the Ravens, they felt pretty comfortable too. Those were not like unsettling games, and they're going to have to really grind out a result though here. The Bills will be this offense's toughest test, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of Mason Rudolph. I think it's going to be much more of Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren on the ground. The Pittsburgh Steelers have to make sure that they take time off the clock and they don't commit silly turnovers. Najee Harris has been playing at a great pace over the last couple of weeks. He had 112 yards on the ground against the Ravens. That's going to need to happen again. Jaylen Warren, easy checkdowns out of the backfield, run for yards after catch. That's also going to happen here. And this Bills defense, they've really struggled containing teams on the ground. The Steelers really need to thrive and exploit that weakness. And they can really do that. And if they get out to a strong start early on and they have a lead, then they can really settle into how they play, which is short checkdowns and ground and pound. That's what they have to do. The problem is they have a defense without their biggest weapon, TJ Watt. TJ Watt suffered a knee injury against the Baltimore Ravens. He will be out for this game most definitely. He's got an MCL sprain or tear. I can't remember, but it's going to be at least a couple of weeks. So, if you want to see TJ Watt again this season, it'll have to be in the championship game. That's probably not going to happen, right? Well, stranger things have happened, I guess. But TJ Watt is out for this game. Fortunately for the Steelers, they may have Minkah Fitzpatrick back. He was questionable last week. He's again questionable for this game as well. Expect him to be back, though. It's a playoff game. I don't think you'd be able to tell Minkah no, even if he's only 50%. He'd rather be out there 50% in a playoff game than 0 and watch his team get blown out. And Landon Roberts, their linebacker, he's also questionable. He did play against the Ravens despite having a serious injury. He was back for them. Expect him to play again against the Bills. That's a big plus. Alex Highsmith has been huge for the Steelers this year. But if you're the Bills and you want to attack the Steelers defense, it won't be on the defensive line despite Watt being out. Cam Hayward is still one of the better run stoppers in the NFL. What you got to do is attack this secondary. They are very old. Eric Rowe, Patrick Peterson, former Bill Levi Wallace. These are not guys that will shut your biggest weapons down. No, the exact opposite. The Bills really have to target those 3 guys if they want to have a favorable result. And they want to get this game cleaned up nice and early. So for the Pittsburgh defense, just try to stay at bay. Hope that your offense can outscore these Bills and force Josh Allen to commit dumb mistakes. That's what you have to do. That's what the Steelers need. And that's why this is going to be an intriguing matchup. And despite the money line and despite the Bills being 10-point favorites, I think the Bills are on upset watch. The Steelers are no slouch. This is the playoffs, and this is a Mike Tomlin coached team. They need to be big here, and I think it is going to be a fantastic game. But without further ado, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Follow us, of course, on all of our platforms, and let's see what our BSC panel is predicting for this wild card matchup between the Bills and Steelers. Let's go.
56% on third down, but it's 3rd and 10, throwing into the wind, way down the field. Oh my goodness! This is going to be 98 yards to Gabe Davis! A 98-yard explosion! Josh Allen to Gabe Davis. What an incredible read.